Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm your host, Nate.
And I'm Will. Today on Anime for Dummies, we'll be covering the first 3 episodes of The Promised Neverland.
We'll be doing a deep dive into these episodes, so of course, spoiler alert. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Before we go over the episodes, let's talk about the basic elements of the show. For example, the art, story, animations, and things like that.
So this is basically an overview of the show. It's kind of like a review or recommendation, so no spoilers yet. In the show The Promised Neverland, there's 3 main characters. We have Emma, Ray, and Norman. These characters are fairly well balanced, each having their own strong suits and their own weaknesses. And they work really well together. They mesh very well. And throughout the show, we can see how they grow into their roles and how they support each other.
Yeah, well said. I just like how each individual character they're good at one thing and then bad or not as good as at the other thing, but then the other characters complement their skills, so they just fit really well together, and it's great to see them working together as a team. And I think they did a really good job giving us background to the characters and really getting us close to the characters, and it's just really nice.
I agree with that. We really get to. It feels like we're getting personal with them.
Exactly.
We're getting to know them on a almost like a friendship kind of level.
Yeah, and I think another reason why this works so well is the art style. It's really, I like it a lot. It's got a lot of personality, and it expresses their facial expressions very well. So it just helps us get to know the characters better.
That's true. We get to see, it's almost like it's expressing the emotion to the fullest with the art style in this show.
Yeah. Okay, so branching off from the art, I think the animation really works well with the art style. I think sometimes it can be a little rough at points, but I like it. It's a pretty new anime, so they implement different art techniques and technologies. Like, for example, the background moves a lot in this anime, which may not seem super impressive, but if we look back at some older animes, the background is usually just like this static image. So I think that moving background just makes it feel a little bit more realistic.
I agree. The higher quality animation, it makes you feel like you're almost there.
Exactly.
With all the detail, all the color, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, and I think now that artists and just technology in general are getting better, I think that's great for animes and animated TV shows, because it makes it feel much more realistic, so you can get way more immersed in the show.
I agree. It's definitely interesting to see how much animation has progressed over the years, and we see it in this show with the advancements it has taken.
Yeah, like if we take a look at One Piece, it's like the art style, it has personality, but this is a lot smoother.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good for its time, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. The storytelling in this anime is also really good.
Yeah.
Because it's almost different, because with the first episode, you pretty much learn what the show's about, which is quite different from other animes where it takes maybe 5-6 episodes to actually get a feel of what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if we take a look at like Attack on Titan, right? We're really in the dark for even 3 seasons or more. I haven't seen the 4th one yet, but it's the direct opposite of Attack on Titan, where we learn more and more about the overall question, but in Promised Neverland we learn it the first episode. And now I'm not saying that we don't learn more about it as we go. It's just the main idea is presented on episode 1.
That's true. And then with that, it leaves more room for things like character development and even possibly more maybe mysteries in the future,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
always something good, always something to really draw your attention.
yeah. And I think the story just overall is excellent. It's super creative and it really drags you in. I watched the entire first season in one night, so I was very intrigued. So yeah, the story is amazing.
When you look at these characters in their voices, you can they just go so well together.
Yeah,
Like they really complement the character. It's like that would be the voice coming out of that person in real life.
yeah, agreed. And I think their voices really fit their personality. Like Ray, he's mysterious, so the voice complements his personality. And then Emma, she's a ball of energy, and her voice, fits that. Same with Norman, or just with really any of the characters. I think it's very good. Because in some animes, it really, really throws you off when one character is like super buff and has a super high pitched voice, and it just doesn't seem like that voice should be coming out of that guy. But I think the casting in the show was done very well.
I definitely agree with that. And speaking of voices and words and all that, if we look at the script of this, I think the word choice was phenomenal.
Yeah,
The everything that came out of these characters' mouths fit the scene perfectly. The emotions they portrayed, the language they used, just everything. It fits so well with
yeah,
the story and with
yeah,
what was happening.
yeah. And like every word had a purpose. Nothing seemed, random. And it kind of goes along with the storytelling element. It's just amazing. Yeah, I think they did it very well.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And I want to know what do you think about the openings of the show?
Okay, okay. So I have mixed feelings about the opening. I think the opening. So if we just take a look at the opening, right, like by itself, without the show, I think it's great. The cinematics were awesome. It focused on each individual main character, and it touched on the supporting characters and just like the background people. And the music was awesome. I loved the song, but it doesn't fit the show very well. Like the music was very
Yeah.
uplifting, upbeat, but that just doesn't go with the theme.
Yeah, the opening it felt like something you could like jam to almost.
Exactly.
Like it was so sweet and just awesome and really like positive, but that does not at all, I don't think, fit the theme.
Yeah. Like the theme, darkness, mystery, scary horror, and then we got this super happy, upbeat, rockin' song.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't think that fits too well with the opening.
Yeah.
But all of this horror, darkness, mystery, these are three things that go really well together.
Yeah.
And I think that contributes to just how this successful and just how good this anime actually is.
Yeah. So if we look at the mystery, I think how they focused on the mystery aspect was great. And now they took like a different approach on mystery. Because like I said, Attack on Titan, lots of mystery, and it takes episodes, so many to figure out the answers. But this Promised Neverland took a much different approach, where we learn the main secret episode 1, and then it like builds on itself. Like we discover more things as we go.
I agree. I think that's definitely a huge aspect of the show, and that's one of the things that really, for myself, draws me in and wants me, like, really encourages me to keep watching and just to see what happens, like see where this goes, where this trail ends. And
Yeah.
it's something that really draws in your attention.
Exactly. Like I said, I finished the first season in one night. It's super bingeable. I love it.
Now that we're done going over the basic elements of the show, let's get into the episode review. So of course, spoiler alert.
All right, so episode 1. What happens in episode 1?
Well, when we start off episode 1, we see our three main characters standing at the gate, And then we wake up with one of them being Emma at this place, which we figure out is an orphanage.
Yep. And all the kids have some weird numbers on their neck that we don't really know what they're for. And as we progress, all the characters are interacting with each other. They're having a good time. They're playing tag. Emma helps a few kids tie their shoes. It all seems very cheerful.
Yep. And this first episode is almost like an introductory, once again, to all the characters. We see their strengths like Norman's and tag, and we really get more of a closer look at them.
Yeah. Definitely. And then once breakfast starts, Mom says something like, "Let's be thankful for our food and that we live happy lives." And I think this is her trying to give the kids a false sense of security, because we actually know what happens behind the scenes, that this is a very, very scary place. But I think the mom is trying to liven the mood a little bit.
Yep, definitely. And one of these kids in this orphanage gets adopted, her name being Connie.
Connie.
And so, yeah, she's very excited. This is, big moment. I mean, I feel like it would be pretty exciting to get adopted from an orphanage.
Yeah, if you've been at an orphanage your whole life, I feel like it'd be exciting to get adopted.
Yeah. And when she's leaving, she leaves her bunny, which is like a little stuffed animal, her toy. And Emma and Norman are two of our three main characters. Find it, and of course they don't want their friend Connie to leave without it, so they go after her and they try to give her the bunny.
Yeah,
and when they get there,
that didn't go too well, did it?
No, it did not. Because when they get there, they find Connie. Yeah, she's kind of dead.
Yeah, she's seen better days, I would say.
Yeah, in the back of a truck. And then we see the mom with a couple demons, which definitely hints at the idea that this is not, your typical orphanage.
Yeah. So this is like a real shocker, at least to me, because I went into it totally blind. I thought it was like a cutesy show. And the creators did a really good job of making the mom seem super sweet. She said this really cute line to Emma, like that she loves just Emma and her personality, and I thought that was awesome. And that line, like we said before, let's be thankful for the food and then we live happy lives. So they're really trying to build her up as this really caring, nice person. But then at the end, we find that she's actually working with the demons and farming children.
Yeah, which is not the most pleasant thing in the world.
Yeah,
she definitely has this scary side to her. You see at the end as she picks up the bunny that Emma and Norman actually left there when they ran, hinting at there was someone there.
That was terrifying. This art style goes really, really well with this show, like I've said many times. And throughout the show there are many times when like the characters get like wide-eyed or like surprised, and this is a great example of that because it was so scary. We'll probably pull up a picture. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
But in general, I think this first episode did a really good job introducing the story.
Definitely.
The scenes, the background, and just a phenomenal job overall on the very first episode of the show.
Yeah, definitely. And I think other animes, their first episodes aren't the best. You kind of gotta watch a few episodes to get into it. But I think that in this anime it was great. It really dragged me in, and I think it's really important for an anime, to have a good first episode. Like that's a first impression.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I'm surprised that more animes don't have a better first episode, because I've seen many animes that don't have the greatest first episodes, but this one is totally different. It's one of the best first episodes I've seen, probably.
I agree. I think it's a great introduction to the show.
Yeah.
Great way to draw people's attention in.
hmm So before we get into episode 2, let's take a look at this cover art for The Promised Neverland. We see our 3 main characters standing together on what looks like to be a clock, but then at second glance we see it's a dinner plate and 2 utensils. And I thought it was a clock at first, but then when you look at it a little closer, it's kind of obvious that it's a plate.
Yeah, definitely interesting for a cover, and definitely displays the story pretty well.
Yeah.
But jumping into the second episode, we start off with kind of Emma's point of view with her dreams about Connie and the demons based off what happened at the end of the first episode. And we also kind of get a feel about how these demons are scoring the children almost, and that these higher scores determine the quality of meat, and that the fact that they also eat brains, which is definitely interesting.
It's interesting. Yep.
Definitely.
So
We also find out that the harvesting age is between 6 and 12, which is most of the kids at the orphanage at the time, and our main characters being, I believe, 11.
Yeah.
So they get into that point.
So we learn what the purpose is for the testing, that is to determine the quality of the meat, which is kind of horrifying.
Yeah, testing for meat quality, definitely something freaky. We also see Norman and Emma starting to plan this escape based off what they saw last night. This is definitely something that they do not want to be a part of, and they have 2 months before the next harvest, and they want to make sure no one dies. So as a result, they're going to try to get out between this period.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to get out during the day, which could be risky, could not.
Yeah.
You never know.
I guess we'll see later. And they also, as Emma and Norman are, just trying to learn more, they want to see what's beyond this fence that they find, or that were shown in episode 1. So they hop the fence and they run, and they get into this, or they run into this really, really tall and thick concrete wall that's super high. And they kind of look over it, but they don't really know what's on the other side.
Yeah, and with the idea of them being outside, right? We see some of the kids outside playing, and a kid actually ends up getting lost in the forest. And we see the mom take out some sort of compass or watch, and she looks at it and she goes off. She goes to try and find the kid. She comes back later with the kid, which is, that's pretty surprising considering she must have known exactly where he was. So our characters, Emma and Norman, see that this might be a tracker of some sort, which could cause issues for their escape plan.
Yeah, and almost every single time that Emma and Norman are talking throughout this episode, at the end we see Ray just kind of hiding in the background, just hiding within the shadows. Like, kind of goes with his character.
Yeah, he's kind of a more mysterious figure almost.
Yeah. And at this point they haven't told him yet, so he's just kind of hiding in the back.
Mm-hmm. And we also get a scene of the mom talking to Emma, that's gotta be freaking her out, considering she just saw the mother with these demons after Connie's death.
Dude, it freaked me out. That was
a
scary scene.
And that hit Emma pretty hard with Connie's death.
And luckily she was saved by the bell. Yeah. And then, after she interrogates Emma, she just directly asks Emma and Norman if they went to the gate, which they were pretty scared of, but they pulled it together.
Mm-hmm. And as this goes on, and as this plan starts to form, they consider telling Ray about this. However, Ray, being this mysterious character, ends up just appearing, and he ends up finding out. And however, he seems to accept this, and which is for me quite a surprise, considering I feel like this would be a huge thing for him.
Yeah, like if we look at how the different characters reacted, Emma and Norman were like petrified, and they still are shaken in episode 2. but Ray is just like, oh yes, of course. You know, it's kind of a little weird.
It doesn't seem as much of a shock to him.
Yeah.
And then we see Emma talking to Ray about how she wants to save everyone, and everyone in the orphanage wants to get out. But Ray is a bit skeptical about this plan of saving everyone, thinking that, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Taking out everyone would be quite a difficult task.
Especially because, you know, most of the kids are like 6.
And especially because, well, at the end of the episode, we see that the mother gets a new assistant.
Oh, God. She's horrifying.
Oh, yes. Very, very scary lady.
Yeah. So overall, I think this was a really, really solid follow-up to that banger of a first episode. We find out a lot, you know? We find out a lot about just the farm in general. Like, we find we find out that there's a tracker, we find out what the tests are for, and we find that there's a giant wall, which are some, you know, pretty big discoveries.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting more of a background on their layout, kind of where they are. And for me, I'm really interested in Ray, because this is the first episode we're seeing him as, like, really taking a look at him.
Yeah.
And he seems like a pretty interesting character. So I'm excited to see how he gets portrayed and what he does in the next couple of episodes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In the beginning of episode 3, we see where it picks up after episode 2 with Mom and Corona after them kind of getting together. And this is where we kind of learn about her, Mom's new assistant, and how she actually wants to take over Mom's role. And she wants to be a mother, I guess.
Yeah, so she says when she's alone, or no, sorry. She says when she's talking to Mom, she thanks her from bringing her back to the establishment. So we don't know her past all that much, but we do know that she has been here before, maybe as an assistant, maybe as a kid, who knows? But it looks like this is a second chance. So she's excited about that.
Mm-hmm. And as the episode progresses, we see this more talk about a tracker and how the kids think that, right, upon destroying this tracker, it could send a notification to Mom, which could lead her to take maybe drastic measures.
Well, yeah, because then she would know that the kids are actually trying to escape. Because right now, she knows that kids know about the secret, but she doesn't necessarily know that they're actually formulating an escape plan.
Yeah, and with this escape plan, I mean, they're trying to sneak out like some pretty young kids, like 6 years old.
Yeah.
So, as a way to kind of train these kids, they play a game of tag, right? And this is basically just to mask their training exercise in a way. And we have Emma leading the kind of fitness side of that, and Norman and Ray leading the kind of like mental, psychological side of, you know, like things like covering their tracks and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like strategy, like we see kids looking for the wind, like which way the wind's blowing. We see kids covering up their tracks, like Nate said. So they're trying to disguise their training session in a game of tag, which looks pretty normal from a bystander's point of view.
Yeah, and Sister Corona joins this game of tag, and she's very, very scary lady.
Oh my God, she's
horrifying.
Ruthless. Oh, it was so scary.
She seems to be quite physically just
able. And
able,
like,
really.
She knows strategies. Like she saw the fake footprints and like recognized them, and she said like she has to give it her all. She cut out shapes in leaves so the younger kids would come out and find them and let down their guard, which was, you know, pretty cool. But she did this to figure out the kids' strengths and weaknesses, and along the way she corners Emma with a few other kids and confronts her about the gate. She says something like, I know you were at the gate, or I forget what she says, but she confronts Emma about being at the gate. So once Sister Krona discovers Emma and the kids that she's hiding, she tries to look for Ray and Norman, but they pull through and get the dub on Sister Krona, and this is the point where Krona learns how elite these kids are, you know, with not only physical ability, but strategy and stuff like that. So once the game of tag ends, Ray, Norman, and Emma come back and converse, and they think that there is a spy on the inside, which is pretty scary. And it leaves off with Emma looking at Mom and Krona and being terrified. I think I would be too.
So overall, this episode really kind of focused, in my opinion, on Sister Krona and just introducing her as the character, right? We get to see her kind of friendly / fake side, I guess, with the kids, and then her just absolutely horrifying side when she's not pretending.
And like I've said many times in the past, this art style really does the characters justice. Like her crazy face, it's horrifying, but it's amazing. And it focuses on, Krona's background and her in like what she wants to do with this establishment. She wants to take over for Mom.
Yeah, and I think it's also pretty interesting that we get to see more of Ray and Norman's just kind of abilities and how they're able to best her, despite the fact that she pretty much got everyone. Well, she did get everyone but those two.
Yeah, and this is like the first time that we see the kids go up against an enemy of like head to head. We've seen them confront the enemy, but they've never actually like ran into each other on the field, basically. And they did pretty well. It was cool to see how they trained also.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting side of it, as we get to kind of see how they're preparing for this future escape plan and how they're gonna kind of work around the issue of getting all these younger kids out of there.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I think is interesting is the way they left off this episode with the idea of a spy.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty interesting thing to have, because you can look at all the characters. You can think, you're kind of like, I'm thinking to yourself, like, who do you think that is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that leaves a lot of room for in the future.
Room for interpretation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was a really solid ending. Kind of left us hanging, but I think that's good because it really draws you in, and it really made me want to watch more.
Yeah, but overall, I think this episode is really good. Also, I think the show is just, in general, these first 3 episodes were a great intro to the show. It really showed what it was about, and I'm excited to see the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot if you left a like and subscribed.
Make sure to stay tuned for our future content and check us out at twitch.tv/animefordummies.
Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you later.